Our theme, human capacity, human capability. If you could say just one thing, if this panel was only 3 minutes long today, what would you say, Toya?
I'd say that we now live in a world where the wealth of nations is calibrated in terms of the human capital. The value of a nation's competitiveness is directly proportional to the quality of its human capital. And a great nation is not the flags. I've been in Saudi Arabia for the last few days, and I see what the power of vision, of leadership, can do to a country. I see that vision and compelling innovation can transform the lives of our people.
Yeah.
And I've seen that at the end of the day, the true potential of a country is measured is not in terms of the beautiful buildings, it's not in the landscaping, it's in the quality of the human capital.
Yes.
And that stems out of the value that the leadership places on the investment in education,
yes,
and the elevation of the conversation around empowering the people to ensure a totally prosperous nation.
Yeah. And holding on to a powerful vision. Well, Dr. Badur, that will resonate with you. If you only had 1 minute on the panel today, what would you say?
I'll say two things, Oli. So the first thing I say, human capability is our future for AI. This is the first thing. The second thing I'll say, developing values, skills, will lead us to AI for humanities and AI for good. So.
Yes.
This is what I can say in these two terms.
Yeah, and that is at the core of your work, which we're going to hear more about. Nazarene.
It would be kindness in AI, and kindness will lead to impressive human capability because it allows people to explore, to have the confidence in one another. And the African concept of Ubuntu, I am because you are,
yes,
that's exactly what we are here about.
Phenomenal. So you could have chosen any word in the language. Why did you choose kindness? Why does that resonate so clearly?
Kindness is, I would say, somewhat rare quality or characteristic in humanity sometimes. And it's got to be explored at depth, but I'll leave that to linger for a moment and we'll think about it.
Yeah, well, exactly. Let's hold that thought. Why don't we hear a bit more about your programs? Because I've had the privilege of reading about them, but let's communicate that a bit to our audience here in Riyadh. Dr. Badur, tell us a little bit, because this is a super connector program.
Yeah, thank you, Ri. So I'll talk today about Human Capability Development Program. We call it HCDB. It's one of the Vision 2030 program. The chairman of the program committee is His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The aim of the program is we ensure that the citizens have the right capabilities or the required capability to become ready for the future. And the output of the program is globally competitive citizens. So we are looking to become everyone in Saudi Arabia globally competitive, which is very exciting. The other thing we focus also is by installing and promoting values and developing basic and future skills, as well as enhancing knowledge. And we do that by developing 3 pillars we focus on. The first pillar, we focus on the basic, or the resilient education and the training education. And the second one, which is usually for preparing for the future labor market, so locally and globally. And the third pillar we focus on is providing the upskilling and reskilling by providing long life journey opportunities. So this is where we go through from early childhood to lifelong learning in the program.
So it sounds to me then, Dr. Badur, you're sitting centrally, but you're interacting with almost every, for example, educational establishment across the kingdom.
Exactly. So we develop the ecosystem. So the program is like ecosystem, collecting all the entities together in order to develop this competitiveness citizen.
So let me ask you a question. How early could we start talking to young people about artificial intelligence? Do you have a view on that yet?
Interesting. So we are looking for that also. So we try to see where we can introduce the AI component and the digital literacy, and we consider that as a basic skills for a human being. So we introduce, and maybe I'll talk about that, where we introduce and we talk to the children from early childhood about digital skills and literacy.
Because I think every country can learn from this program. It is really joining these dots. So Naz, tell us a little bit more. Socially acceptable, I'm very intrigued. Tell us.
Socially acceptable is a name that captures the imagination, I think. It sparks conversation. But it's truly about people have a concept of understanding what socially acceptable means. To transition that into understanding AI in communities, it's us leading a national AI conversation in South Africa. And leading an AI conversation in South Africa means helping to articulate what AI means for end users or normal citizens. And so the mandate or ethos of our organization is building a responsible digital citizenry. Every single person in this room across the globe who has access to internet and a mobile phone or any device has built a digital identity, which is as important as your national citizenship. So what does it mean? Educating and empowering citizens in our country is foremost for us, and we're able to do that through the great partnerships that we've built.
So first quick question, to what extent is that in partnership with the leadership of the country? Is it entirely independent? Does it matter?
Matters a great deal. And we talked about leadership, I heard Toyosi and Vidur talk about that. Leadership is highly critical because that gives you the impetus to move forward with a very specific and strategic partnership, a strategic focus.
Yes.
And because you have that, citizens by their very nature need governance. They look for that. They want governance, no matter what it is. But when you give them the playing field to do so, everything changes. And that's where we're able to actively ask questions to make the concepts of what looks so far away to me, artificial intelligence, what is this, robots stealing my jobs? No.
It's demystifying it, isn't
Absolutely.
it? So just one very brief example of how you bring that to life with socially acceptable, because the theory sounds amazing. What does it look like in practice?
In practice, it looks like taking our programs of conversation. So a national AI conversation starts where? Talking. South Africa is a very multicultural environment. We come from a history of apartheid. Many of you would know our history in the country. We are a multicultural, landscape. So when you put that together, we're able to go not only to the private sector, but work in partnership with our government through an initiative that we have with my mentor, Kay Firth Butterfield. She's the head of AI at the World Economic Forum. And because of that association, we've been able to work with the 4IR Center in our country to start off a national AI conversation.
And can this be done digitally, or are we face-to-face? I just want to understand.
Good question, because South Africa and many parts of Africa have a digital connectivity issue.
Yes.
So it's got to be a combination of face-to-face, some digital elements, but you have to work in the space that you are.
So we might come back to that, because we've touched on connecting the disconnected.
Absolutely.
Toyo, tell us about RISE networks, because we've heard from some great employers, and you're making sure a generation is ready for them.
Well, I mean, I feel like the work we do at RISE Networks is extremely interesting. As you know, AI is still very nascent in Nigeria and Africa, so we are the very epicenter of the conversation around democratizing the knowledge of AI. And democratizing it, leveraging familiar channels of interaction for young people. So for example, we own a technology school where we're, in different tracks of programs, targeting students who are currently in university, targeting children who are, in primary and high school,
Really, children,
and then targeting young professionals, and then of course the senior leadership management of organizations, and then of course the government. I think it's very important to ensure that top to bottom approach in terms of the understanding of the knowledge of AI. And for example, we're shooting the very first film on AI on the continent. And the reason why, film is important in this grand conversation around artificial intelligence is because it's one of the storytelling. It's a very compelling way of simplifying a concept that appears to be extremely grand and complicated, like artificial intelligence, and puts it in a film in a relatable manner where you can center key issues around women in STEM, girls in STEM, people with disabilities, drive diversity and inclusion. You also want to make sure that you're taking the conversation in terms of teaching, passing on the knowledge of AI in a way that helps people to feel like they're taking ownership of their problems and they're solving problems,
and they have agency. It sounds like it should be a whole series. Is this a physical school? Or
it's both a physical and a digital school. So if you go to risenetworks.org, for example, you'd see a lot of, we're building prototypes and models and products. And we're hoping that, people feel a sense of assurance that rather than artificial intelligence coming to take up their jobs, it would help to improve, the efficiencies of their processes. More organizations can adopt it into their processes. People are upskilled and they're reskilling themselves to fit into the, conversation of the fourth industrial
revolution. Let me run this
revolution.
past you then, Toya. It sounds to me like the formula is education and understanding can lead to confidence,
Absolutely.
which fuels collaboration.
Absolutely.
That
And
is
even
power.
beyond collaboration, it's important to look at the way the world is fast evolving, where people can sit in Nigeria and do remote work and collaborate across countries and continents, solving key problems that matter to them. I think that convergence of ideas and that convergence of solutions and the core dedication to the fact that, global competitiveness depends a lot on the skills of the future. The conversation around digital skills in Africa at the moment, the conversation around young people sidestepping the jobs, that are going to go into extinction and embracing the future of work is, absolutely important in ensuring that Africa is the next frontier for technology. Is sufficiently positioned.
This couldn't be better positioned at this global gathering. So we're going to switch gear a bit because I'm going to try and race through some questions, but I'm not going to shy away from the big questions. Digital citizenry. What should that look like
Digital
in 2022? And who wants? Naz, please.
I'll go after Naz.
I actually, I'm going to hand over to Badur and then answer because I know it's interesting what you've talked about human capability. I have a lot to say and I might steal time.
Okay, let's go. That's gracious. Thank you, Dr. Badur.
Yeah, thank you, Nazreen. Yeah, digital literacy is really a broad concept. And in human capabilities, we look at it in three aspects. So especially we are today in the AI Global Summit. So I'll define it in terms of AI. So we recognize digital literacy as people who recognize AI, who use AI and who learn AI. So we make these kind of digital literacy that goes through. So for example, the recognized AI, we consider them for the mass population, for all the population, all the ages. They have to understand what is AI and how to recognize an AI. And the other thing is about the use an AI, where we consider people where in everyday life they use their AI tools and application, for example, in education and work. And the other ones, which is the AI, the learners of the AI, where they are the AI specialists and they are the AI experts that will produce the algorithms and the techniques of the AI. And all these, maybe the question, maybe Nazreen and Toya will answer, is how to make these people or develop these people to recognize and learn and use an AI. So, and this where we come back to Human Capability Development Program, where we have the 4 components, which is values, knowledge, basic, and future skills. And maybe we go down in the future skills and basic skills, and we see basic skills consist of numeracy, where we learn about numbers, literacy, where we learn how to read and write, and the basic skills, which is, we define it in the program, is the digital literacy, where we think it's a basic skill for all human beings. So how to use digitals and how they understand, and one of them, how to recognize an AI.
Okay. I wonder if we can broaden it though, Nazreen, because to some of our guests, when we talk about literacy, this can be something connected with comprehension, understanding. It strikes me that citizenry, digital citizenry, is more of a doing word. It's how we engage with each other. Talk to that a little bit, please.
Ollie, you've described it perfectly. It's a doing, and doing requires a force of action, a combined force of action. What does it mean? It's the confidence to do that because you're invested in the progress of not only yourself, but in everyone else. And that's truly what AI is going to envision for us. It will take what we are teaching it because of who we are online, the way we perform online. Citizenry, for me, let's take it back a step further, right? If you're a citizen of a country, you vote, you pay your rates and taxes, you follow the rules of the land, you make sure that you're not getting any traffic fines. I don't, but you try not to do these things. You greet one another. You have a social contract of how you operate in society. If you take that online, which is why things like cyberbullying are such hot topics, things like cybersecurity and the issues around it, bad actors in the cyberspace, these things are a reality because of who we are as citizens in the online world. You are giving away your data, yes, to large tech organizations. So as a citizen of the internet, I'm a citizen of the globe. I am lucky enough to have a passport and a national identity document as a South African. But also as a citizen of the internet, I have a responsibility.
Yes, and we can't disconnect those two worlds.
No, not at all.
We're serious about how we treat each other
at all.
on the ground. We must take it seriously everywhere. Toyo, your thoughts on this? It's a huge word, and by the way, young people must face so many interesting challenges about creating multiple identities sometimes.
I think it's about how we frame our expectations of the young people and their usage of the internet. I think in Africa, in Nigeria, where I come from, we've seen a lot of cases of suicide of young people. We've seen a lot of cases of even people advocating against artificial intelligence, believing that in a country grappling with high level unemployment, you don't want to bring in new technologies that are going to come and overrun them and take over their jobs. But I think the responsibility of organizations like ours is to be able to demonstrate the key, the critical success factors around the people that are already utilizing AI to solve problems. There's a gentleman called Ubenwa.ai who's using artificial intelligence to detect, the presence of aphasia in little children and reducing child mortality rates in Africa. And that was a locally created, technology from Nigeria. And when you juxtapose these issues and, put those sort of positive stories out in the public space, then it's easy for young people to find sufficient inspiration to be able to use their time well on the internet as responsible citizens, and then the government can leapfrog from that. I think the reason why, I think we cannot also separate the role that policy does make, the role that policy does play in, the grand conversation around the application of AI to different processes.
Let me ask you though, Toyo. Who, if we agree on the importance of digital citizenry, what it is, what it isn't, whose responsibility is it to pass on what we feel is worth developing?
Well, I think it's a collective responsibility of everyone, but I think the level of responsibility is higher for one side, one stakeholder group than the other. So for example, a government that creates an opportunity for, free speech, open data, a government that creates regulation around how private sector utilizes access to the data that they've collected, a private sector that feels a deep sense of responsibility to the citizens from whom it's collecting data, that does not intrude their privacy, that upholds the highest ideals of data privacy, where people's privacy and their fundamental human rights are not breached in the course of doing business. I think there has to be a clear case of the role that ethics does play in the application of AI. And then you can place it side by side by how you also place consequences.
And that, Toyo,
beside the people who violate the core principles of the misapplication of AI.
That, by the way, has run through this summit. By the way, I was so struck on the announcement stage over the last 2 days at the number of companies, especially based in the region, investing in accelerators, in development programs, in the next generation, not standing back and saying to the schools, you give us the material and we'll take them onto the net. It's very, very interesting. So it strikes me that you can have the best program in the world, but if it doesn't reach people,
and if it doesn't solve problems,
it has failed. So we need to get practical. We've got 10 minutes left. How do you reach people with the programs that you create? I wonder who would like to go first on that. Bedor, please.
Okay, so interesting question, and thank you for the reminder. So the whole ecosystem should be working together in order to reach to people and get them to, again, to use, recognize, and learn AI. So, and for example, we have in the program an ecosystem that starts from schools to families, communities, universities, vocational and training institutions, even training institutions, until to media. So we have to work across all the sectors with the entities with us, like Ministry of Education, Ministry of Communication.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Parents, to what extent are you communicating directly with them and how?
Of course, they are the core. We say it for, especially for K-12. They have to be aware of what is the future doing with their kids and how they prepare their kids to the future.
So you see that as part of your remit,
Yeah,
helping the
exactly. And we have special initiatives for parents to consider in that. Also, maybe I can give a light on some of the ecosystem that we have. So we introduced initiatives to develop some of the curriculum that we have, and we introduced a new curriculum for the grade 4 for digital skills, which is very important, where they teach them the basic about computer science, how to protect themselves, and also robotics and some AI techniques. Also, we have special tracks for secondary schools, where we have new 5 tracks now, and one of them is for engineering and computer science, where we have some subject also about data science and AI.
So on that though, Dr. Badur, to what extent are you targeting, the computer science teacher within the school, or can this be broader than that?
Yeah, we are targeting all the neighbors in the ecosystem. Teachers is a very important one. Again, schools, the environment of the schools, the parents, even the universities we go down, the vocational training, all of them we consider.
I see that breadth. I just wonder, perhaps the English teacher, the history teacher of today and tomorrow needs to understand AI as well.
Exactly, and that's why we have training programs for teachers to introduce them to what we will teach the new kids.
Because I guess the challenge you've got, Nazreen, is if you're not careful, socially acceptable will only reach, or would have only reached, already socially minded, ambitious young people. And that's not good enough for you.
That's not good enough. And you've hit the nail on the head. Our mandate, again, I'll say, if you go to www.sociallyacceptable.co.za, our mandate there is to build a responsible digital citizenry. And that means, and we spoke about this to you earlier, also a bit of conversation with Badur, is access to connectivity, understanding what it means to have an identity in the digital environment, considering that Web3 is here. We've already got all the makings of the metaverse, which encourages young people to become content creators. This is at grassroots level already.
So what's the technique you use?
The technique is to have open, honest conversations in public spaces. Open, honest conversations in public spaces through the lens of structured programs like you do, asking the right questions. I know I said this in a panel yesterday, and I will always say it. The philosophy in my businesses that I run, ask the right questions. Because then you interrogate and you explore the human condition.
Yes. By the way, one tiny example of a public space, just to paint a picture for us.
A public space would be a program that we're actually launching. I mean, there's numerous things that we've done in collaboration with Simolahong Precinct, Innovate Durban. There's also Silicon Cape, as they call it.
Yes.
And there's a space called AI Expo Africa, which I go into, incidentally, when I leave to go back to South Africa from here. But AI Expo Africa is a community of people, or AI experts, who talk, but take from the academic into the communities. And that's the transition
you're giving us a lot to look up here. I think we're going to be foraging for these. Toyo, I'm going to make a generalization. Sometimes the most gifted employees didn't always have the smoothest ride through education.
Absolutely.
How do you reconnect with them?
I think this is where we need to clearly define the discrepancy between education and school. And I think that when you think about the emerging trends around digital technology and the skills associated with it, you're now it's time to begin to think about self-oriented learning environments where people don't need to depend anymore on physical infrastructure for them to be able to access learning. When you saw that I was itching when you spoke about parents and teachers, because the reason why we're getting a lot of support for the film we're shooting is because pop culture plays a very key role in how young people relate these days. We're seeing, she talked about the metaverse, and when you think about the metaverse, you think about the concept of a Generation Z that is moving and growing so fast at a pace where people like me in my 30s, we're playing catch up with them. The way to reach them, if young people are able to learn about crime, if they're able to learn about nudity or all other social vices by watching films and television, you can teach them anything about digital skills and technology.
Yes.
Simplify the message, put it in the familiar channels of interaction, all right? Get the buy-in of the people that matter, because parents and teachers are also crucial. I'll give you an example. In Nigeria, a state government decided to spend billions of naira on buying tablets for children because they wanted to drive e-learning in the state. But the teachers refused to allow the students to bring the tabs into the classrooms because the states put the cart before the horse. They did not allow, they didn't get the buy-in of the teachers.
There was that suspicion,
exactly.
There wasn't the confidence.
And the teachers definitely also thought that, look, with the more these children adopt technology, the more we go into extinction. And in protecting their jobs, they frustrated that process. So when you think about governments and organizations putting resources around problems, I'm very excited about the hackathons we do at Rise Networks. We've organized a few hackathons around AI in healthcare, AI in education,
So
in
tell me
agriculture.
something, Toya. What is the secret? Because we'll all know about hackathons.
Yes.
What's the secret to running a good one, not just innovation theatre?
I think originality, authenticity is important. Clear goals and objectives and ensuring collaboration.
Got it.
Because AI is not work that you can do alone.
Yeah.
You need data
By the way-
scientists, you need lawyers like me, you need data engineers, you need AI engineers, you need teachers.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You
Right?
need everybody.
You need
Because-
policymakers.
do
And
you know
you
something?
need professionals who are able to validate your methodology. So if you're doing an AI hackathon that is targeting healthcare, you need
Toya.
medical doctors and
Well,
scientists.
you're going to get me in trouble. We're going to run over time. Because Dr. Bador, I've made a mistake, haven't I? Because I used the word education, but I'm actually meant school. And your point is education runs way beyond school.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Beyond
So,
physical infrastructure.
And as Toya said, it's to
Self-oriented
find-
learning
And the
environment.
important thing is when we teach, even beyond school, even in universities and teaching even the AI for students, it's also about tackling the real problems of
Yeah,
AI. It's not about just doing an AI.
And understanding what
But
those
it's
are
a-
in detail.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So we have just 30 seconds each, because I'm always interested in the biggest challenge someone faces, because who knows who might be listening. I am going to pick on you, Dr. Bador, to go first, if
Okay.
you will, because it's a world-leading program that we are learning from today. Your biggest challenge?
Yeah. So actually we have, for me, especially, I believe in people. I believe in they can do everything. And human capabilities is really our future and Saudi future. But what we see now is AI is getting advancing. And we have now narrow AI, then general AI and super AI. And we don't know what is the emerging technology coming in the future. So I think the challenge will be how to make people ready for beyond AI. And citizens, how they be ready beyond AI. And I think the solution for that, I think, is when we have the development of the future skills and the correct skills, people will be ready. So we'll be adaptable. Any new technology will come, will be adaptable,
And
easy.
believing they're included.
Yeah, exactly.
Believing that it's not too late.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Nazreen, hard to pick a challenge, but please do.
The challenge is we have a flagship project at Socially Acceptable called the AI Africa Report. It aims to be the premier portal of AI knowledge and research on the African continent. To do that, we of course need support to build the young capability to tell the stories of what it means for the African continent. In addition to that is also to do the necessary research to back up the insights, key insights from our region specifically, to support academic work, private sector work, public sector work.
It sounds like you would welcome conversations about that.
I would definitely welcome conversations.
Bring it on.
And again, visit www.sociallyacceptable.ca and
I can
hit
see
me up.
I've fallen into a trap, haven't we?
You
We're
have.
going to have we could have a plug, couldn't we? But Toya, any challenge, it could be a resource challenge, it could be psychological, anything.
I mean, I would say that in Nigeria, the challenge would be just the sheer amount of people that are interested in the subject of AI and the constraint of the resources to reach that number of people. It's a good problem, all right? And that's where collaborative effort around, all the work we're doing, pulling it together. And this is why the Global AI Summit is perhaps the best thing to happen to us in our organization this year and to
So say
Africa.
why, that's very interesting. So
Absolutely.
Say why it's so useful, though. Tell us
Well,
why.
I think that first I've seen, the openness, listening to people from all over the world, it's really enriched my perspectives.
Good.
Whatever I thought was impossible, being here for the last 4 days, I'm going back to Nigeria to make a complete difference.
Love it.
With everything that we're already doing.
Yeah.
I'm, super excited, and I'm totally grateful to the organizers because Africa is the next frontier for technology.
Absolutely.
And I think that
By the way, I don't know if we heard. I don't know if we heard the web address for Socially Acceptable. Oh no, I think we did.
Well,
how do we find out more about Rise Networks?
RiseNetworks.org.
Okay, all right.
RiseNetworks.org.
Otherwise, I'll get told off afterwards. All right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we're open to new ideas, collaborations, suggestions. I think that this is the point where, if programs like this give opportunity, I think it's also the niceness of the level playing field.
Yes.
I think the organizers put in so much effort into making sure that every race, group, continent fully
Totally
represented, and that, robustness of those ideas.
Well, that's kudos to our hosts.
I feel like
Yeah,
it will
thank
be
you.
the next level.
I'm going to count you in for a testimonial a bit later. But on a serious note, so say all of us, actually. Toyo, Dr. Badur, Nazreen, thank you very much indeed. What a brilliant panel. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.